Hi everyone, our video blog this week. It is hot outside. You want to stay fresh. Finally, our outdoor pools, beaches, wading pools are all open. We're meeting with the Life Saving Society and with the City Aquatic teams. As I said, majority of the pools open on Monday, July 6th. There's a remaining bunch that are opening on Monday, July 13th. I'm glad to be joined by Sean Duffy, who's our area chair for the Life Saving Society. We're here at Genet Pool in Optimus Park. Sean, thanks for taking your time this morning. You have an important role with the Life Saving Society. I have to tip my hat off. I grew up taking lessons from the Life Saving Society in our city pools. It's warm, it's hot in Ottawa. What are our recommendations? There's the latest drowning report that came out earlier this week.
Well, hi Matt, great to be here. The Life Saving Society wants people to have fun in and around the water, but to do so safely. So the big thing, if we look at the latest drowning report, is that everyone, adults, children, everyone can be at risk of drowning. So the big thing is know your limits. The supervised swimming settings like the city pools and beaches are the safest places to swim. And especially with those young children, we want to have fun in and around the water, but use layers of protection. Wear a life jacket and keep those children within arm's reach.
What are you seeing in terms of risks and trends?
Well, I think it's interesting. We had a long winter, and we had the stay-at-home measures for public health. And so a lot of people now, with the weather warm, want to get out. They want to have a good time, and they're looking for ways to cool off in this heat. And our big thing is use those layers of protection. So yes, a supervised swimming setting would be the best place to swim, but if you're going into an open water setting, which is where we see 70% of the drownings across Canada, we need to use those barriers. So wearing a life jacket if you're on a boat or you don't know how to swim, always swimming with a buddy, a friend who can call for help if trouble happens, and being aware that even if the water looks calm and looks safe, there may be dangers located underneath the water, currents and drop-offs. So always check the environment for hazards. Check it out every season to make sure you know where those danger areas are, and so you can keep yourself and your friends safe.
The Life Saving Society has played a key role in informing municipalities and private pool providers during the COVID reopening period. Could you maybe share with us some of the measures the Life Saving Society is supporting through this period?
So the Life Saving Society has been working very hard with industry partners, with public health, to develop a guide to reopening pools and waterfronts. There's documents for each province and each area. And this is a tool that helps operators plan to put in place all the different new safety measures, like screening, distancing, different training procedures, and so on, to keep people safe in the pool as they come to visit. And I think the biggest message is, of course, just like everything else, if you're sick, stay home, and if you're healthy and well, review the different information at your local pool and make sure you're prepared before you show up. Because sometimes it's things like you might have to call ahead and reserve in advance. So there's different strategies to reduce the capacity and create a safe swimming environment for everyone.
You're quite right, and I see good examples at the City of Ottawa of what's been done. For example, here at Genet, usually the capacity is at 100 swimmers, and now since reopening during a COVID period, we're at 16 swimmers during an hour period. So people are limited in numbers and limited in period to swim. So you're quite right. It's important for us to be sensitive and responsive and careful during this period. Yet the water in warm summer temperatures is also very important. If people want more information on the Life Saving Society,
a lot of information is available on the Life Saving Society's website, www.lifesavingsociety.com. That's where you'll find information on the different training programs, the latest drowning report, and the latest public safety information.
Morning, Chris. Thank you for taking the time. It is another warm day in Ottawa. Your team has been teams across the city have been very active at getting us ready and started this week. Tell us about, you've been in aquatics for a number of years. Tell us the logistics of getting our pools up and started during a COVID period.
Yeah, so when everything first started to shut down, the city immediately started into a plan of what day one ready would look like. So we had a plan in place. We just weren't sure of numbers or dates or any of that, but we had a plan of what it might look like. So the Ford decision came a little bit earlier than we thought, but right away we were action plan. We pulled people back off deployment. So a lot of us were already at Ottawa Public Health and long-term care. So getting everybody back into the, back at working at Aquatics and pulling, over 700 part-time staff back into payroll, back into the facilities, trained, ready to go, pools filled. We did it in about a couple of weeks with the part-time staff, but the staff were so excited to be coming back. They were more than happy to work. They wanted to be poolside this summer, not at home. And so, everybody was really excited to get the public back here.
You shared with me briefly as we were setting up the when the call went out to lifeguards, how quickly the responses were and how easy it was, because everyone understood the importance, and obviously it's summer employment for many of them.
Yeah, the job of a lifeguard and an instructor isn't just an everyday job. It's a passion. You want to make sure that people have a place to go, to exercise, kids in the water playing, because we know that if there's nowhere to go where there's lifeguards, people are going to find a place to swim anyways. Yeah. So having those lifeguards up and ready to go, and the wading pool's open. The wading pool is one of my favorite programs. The pools are bright blue. The staff are outside. Families are there. The water's chilly, so it's a good place to it's a good place to cool off. So we're ready to go. The staff are there right now, sweeping the pool and getting the water ready.
It's you're quite right that obviously our indoor pools are what people think when they think city aquatics, but outdoor pools and wading pools play an important role in each community. It's fresh water. Tell us about maybe at a high level, what can we expect going into our wading pools? Our indoor pools is a little more controlled because people come in, they pay, and we have control over the setting and the programming. An outdoor wading pool in general is a little less programmed because it's free. So how do you manage that, and what will differ from normal years?
Yeah, so the indoor pools have a controlled access, exactly what you're saying. So we can educate people how the flow is going to work. We can really control the numbers. So with the wading pools, we've also done the square meters and decided, okay, this is the safe amount of distance everybody needs to be in the wading pool. So we've determined those numbers for all the wading pools across the city. And so we ask that families come and visit the table where the wading pool attendants are. Which is not new, because we do have a swim test so that people are used to coming and seeing the attendance, and that's where we limit the numbers and we limit the time. So for example, at Jean Morin, we'll have up to 15 people in the water, but only for 30 minutes at a time. So you can walk in for sure and just see if there's room. If not, you can book for later that day or the next day.
And that's an interesting part, is we're trying to give as much access as possible, but we're asking people to be sensitive. So what I think you just said, about everyone gets about 30 minutes to 30-minute period at a time, so then we can get more capacity out of the facility.
Yeah, exactly. And so far so good. Of course, a lot of the population that comes to the wading pool at Jean Morin, there's summer camps. So they'll be visiting in the next couple of weeks, but again, volume is down all around, so we haven't had to turn away anybody yet.
How are the lifeguards coping? I know you shared with me some of the tactical approach, if there are incidents, how we're also protecting our staff, but able to obviously respond to the urgency.
Yeah, so we incorporated back into our training kits a bag valve mask, which puts more distance between the lifeguard and somebody who's in distress. So that's one of the barriers, and we have full PPE. So we have eyewear, we have surgical masks, we have gowns, we've always had gloves in place. But what we've done is we've changed our lifeguarding. So normally, as you know, Matt, you're a lifeguard. There's a first guard who sees the incident, goes in and initiates treatment. But in a rescue situation now, where a lifeguard is going to be wet, it would be very difficult for them to don all the PPE. So we have actually a designated first aid guard that has their PPE ready to go. So in case of a situation, they can don the PPE on, and they'll be dry and ready to react. And then we're also doing social distancing lifeguard, which takes us back from National Lifeguard, where we do contact rescues, and this is where we train first guard, second guard, third guard. We're going back to a little bit more like a bronze rescue, where we're using the ladder approach, where we're talking to victims, we're using rescue aids between us and somebody in distress, and then asking parents to help us with the first aid. So if somebody does slip and fall and they scuff their knee, that we're providing the first aid gauze and bandages and so on, but we're asking mom or dad or a guardian to help us out.
It's great to hear from you on that. It gives a lot of reassurance for many of management of separation and physical distancing in the pool as much as possible, and obviously limited capacity, but the strategy around that, and then through that also keeping our team safe and healthy. So very good overview. You also shared with me briefly, you play a role with the Life Saving Society Ontario. You've been in aquatics at the city for many years. Yeah. And you see that other municipalities are looking to Ottawa specifically, who's well organized, who's careful and sensitive in their reopening. Can you maybe share what you've heard from other smaller municipalities?
Yeah, so being with the Life Saving Society, it's like the city, we're a big family, so we're the certifying body for all the lifeguards across Canada. I'm heavily involved in the public education portion of the society. And the city of Ottawa, we're seen as leaders, and people have been turning to us because we're a large group and we have a lot of collaboration. We share a lot of ideas, and in all planning for this Day One Ready, we've been collaborating and building up teams of training, building up teams, how are we going to run lane swim? So we have a great structure to be an advisor to some of the smaller municipalities that perhaps the recreation staff are the ones that are, cutting the grass, taking care of the baseball diamond, running the pool, and maybe a beach. So they're running a little bit solo. So they turn to us and say, what are you guys doing and how are you handling it? So it's been a great pleasure to share, all the knowledge that the city's put together and to be able to share that with some of the smaller municipalities.
Absolutely. The last number of weeks have been very warm in Ottawa. We spoke with Sean from the Life Saving Society Ontario on some of the drowning prevention measures. Do you have any additional element you'd like to share with our community in terms of drowning prevention and what we have to offer? I think many will be shy of taking swimming lessons, or many might not have the funds, and I know that the city's doing what it can to facilitate the removal of some of those barriers.
Yeah, so the city really does try to remove those barriers. So what we've done, we want the kids to get back into the pool and continue learning, because that foundation of being a good swimmer and understanding water safety. So when the lifeguards are teaching, it's not just that they're teaching them how to swim, it's how to be safe around the water and how to self-rescue and how to recognize when you're in distress and how to get to safety. So the city registration opens up Monday and lessons start on the 20th. And so we've got a lot of private lessons running. We've got low ratio lessons for kids that are in Swim Kids 4 and below. We're asking that a parent or guardian get in the water with them to help with the physical manipulation and help us remain with that social distancing. So on top of City of Ottawa's Hand in Hand program, which allows for subsidy for the Learn to Swim, also now we're removing another barrier. So if you come in with your CERB, proof that you are on the CERB, that we can also use that to help you get assistance to help pay for those lessons. We don't see financial ability as any kind of barrier or anything to be worried about. We welcome you in. We try and get as many kids in the water as we can. So again, you can use that financial assistance as well to pay for drop-ins if you're not wanting to commit to a group of lessons. You can apply for the Hand in Hand and then use that to subsidize your drop-in fees as well.
Access, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And then we always need more city staff in terms of aquatics. So there is posting online.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Doors open, come on in if you want to just drop by your resume and we can walk you through the application process, but you can go to ottawa.ca, click on jobs. We're even taking kids now that are 15 years old for some of our jobs. So certainly stop by if you have any questions. We'll be more than happy to help you out with that.
That's excellent. Chris, anything to add before we wrap up?
Come down to the pool. It's going to be 45 degrees today and the staff are there. They were pretty tired yesterday at the end of the day after being out in the heat, but they're refreshed and ready to go again today. So come on down to the pool.
Thanks for that. Please pass along our thanks to the entire staff. We have amazing staff at our beaches, at our wading pools, at our indoor and outdoor pools. It is warm outside and the team's ready to ensure that people can access the water and refresh safely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.